Attraction isn't built on luck or looks. It's built on energy, on presence, on the subtle language of confidence that doesn't need to scream to be seen. What makes someone addicted to you isn't how often you chase them, but how deeply you move them. These behaviors are not games, they are truths forged in strength, not strategy. Behaviours. 1. The beauty of emotional composure, embody power, isn't in reacting, it's in remaining. Everything around you tries to shake your calm. When someone's silence tempts you to question your worth, composure becomes your crown. Hebrew. Most people lose their power in moments of uncertainty. They overtext, overexplain, overgive just to feel secure. But composure says, I am not defined by your attention. It's magnetic because it signals emotional maturity, the rarest form of beauty. When a woman can stand still in her truth while everything else trembles, she becomes unforgettable. He doesn't chase calm because calm cannot be chased. It must be earned. The woman who owns her peace owns the game. Abro 2. The beauty of boundaried warmth, Abra kindness without boundaries becomes weakness. But warmth with self-respect, that's power. Men are not drawn to perfection. They're drawn to women who know the line between giving and losing themselves. When you set boundaries, you're not pushing him away, you're inviting him to rise. Ebrook boundaries communicate, I have standards. Standards say, if you want access to me, bring your best self forward. Ebrook. It's not manipulation, it's magnetism through self-worth. When you value your time, your attention, your heart, others start valuing it too. He'll respect what he earns, not what he's handed. Every time you say no to something beneath you, you remind him that your love is sacred ground, not open terrain. Sacred 3. The beauty of purposeful independence, Ibris. Nothing is more captivating than a woman who doesn't need validation to feel alive. When your happiness is self-generated, when your days are filled with purpose, goals, and growth, you radiate a rare kind of light. Ibris white. It's not the light of desperation, it's the light of direction. You become less of a mirror for his approval and more of a flame he wants to stand near. Your independence doesn't repel. It challenges him to be a part of something greater. Men don't fall in love with emptiness. They fall for a life that inspires them to expand. The more fulfilled you are alone, the more irresistible you become together. So don't shrink to fit love, rise to attract it. The right man won't be intimidated by your growth. He'll be addicted to the way you evolve. Final truth, Ebrook addiction isn't about control. It's about impact. When you embody composure, respect, and purpose, you create an energy that lingers. You don't chase attention. You command it through presence. You don't beg for love, you become the standard of it. People are drawn to strength that feels safe. Ebrook to beauty that doesn't beg. Hebrook to confidence that doesn't compete. So stop trying to be unders. Tud. And start becoming undeniable. Because when you master yourself, you stop needing to be chosen. You become the one who can't be forgotten. Would you like me to format this version into a motivational speech script, tone, pacing cues, pauses, and intensity markers like for YouTube delivery? It'll make it sound just like a powerful live monologue. Ebrook mystery is not about playing games. It's about holding power in silence, confidence in restraint, and allure in the unknown. What's easily understood is easily dismissed, but what's layered, what's quietly powerful, what leaves space for curiosity, that's what keeps someone thinking about you long after the conversation ends. We live in a world where everyone overshares. Every thought, every feeling, every wound is displayed for validation, but mystery is the refusal to hand your entire soul to the world for approval. It's choosing to keep parts of yourself sacred, not because you're hiding, but because you know your value doesn't need to be proven to be real. The woman who embodies mystery doesn't chase attention, she commands it through presence. She understands that silence can be louder than words, that a glance can speak more than a monologue. Her power lies in what she doesn't give away too quickly, her plans, her emotions, her reactions. She knows that curiosity is the heartbeat of attraction. Once there's nothing left to discover, desire begins to fade. Mystery is not manipulation, it's mastery. It's emotional discipline wrapped in elegance. It's understanding that the more you reveal at once, the less space you leave for wonder. When you keep parts of your world unseen, you invite others to earn access to it. That's how respect grows. That's how value multiplies. Behaviour. Most people destroy attraction because they crave constant reassurance. They try to prove their worth through over-explanation, through availability, through trying to be chosen. But every time you rush to fill the silence, you strip yourself of power. Every time you overexpose your emotions, you rob someone of the chance to earn your vulnerability. Mystery is patience, the patience to let curiosity build without forcing connection. Brocht. True confidence doesn't shout, it moves quietly, letting others lean in. It's not arrogance, it's presence. Mystery makes presence magnetic because it teaches restraint. It whispers, if you want to know me, show me that you can meet me where I am. It's an unspoken invitation to rise, not a plea to stay. Understand this. Mystery is not distance, it's depth. It's not about withholding affection, it's about offering it with intention. When your emotions, attention, and energy are selective, they become valuable. Scarcity creates desire, not because you're unavailable, but because you're purposeful. The woman who lives in mystery doesn't explain why she's calm. She doesn't justify why she walks away. She doesn't compete for attention. Her energy speaks before she does. People remember he are not because she said everything, but because she didn't have to. Mystery sustains attraction because it transforms the familiar into something sacred. It turns moments into memories and encounters into questions that linger. It teaches others that not everything can be owned or understood. Some things must be earned. And that's the essence of real power, to be fully known only by those who have proven they deserve to know you, to be seen without being exposed, to be desired without performing. So stop giving explanations that no one asked for. Stop oversharing to feel secure. Stop offering your soul to those who haven't earned your silence. Let your mystery be your strength. Let your calm be your statement. Let your restraint be your weapon. Because the moment you stop trying to be understood, you become unforgettable. And that's when attraction stops being temporary and becomes something timeless. Mystery sustains attraction because it reminds the world that what's rare cannot be rushed and what's valuable cannot be owned. And when you understand that truth, you stop chasing love and start embodying the energy that love chases. Grace under pressure is the rarest form of strength, the kind that doesn't roar but stands unmoved when the world shakes. It's the calm in the storm, the poise in the fire, the quiet dignity that refuses to be broken by chaos. Anyone can appear confident when life is easy. But true power is revealed when everything falls apart and you don't. Grace is not weakness, it's mastery. It's emotional control forged through pain, patience, and discipline. It's the art of staying centered when emotions beg you to lose yourself. When others crumble, complain, or lash out, grace breathes. It slows down. It observes before it reacts. Pressure reveals character. It strips away masks, testing what lies beneath. Most people crack under tension because they've built their confidence on conditions, on validation, on outcomes, on approval. But those who've built it on values don't waver when tested. They understand that composure isn't denial, it's direction. It's refusing to give chaos the power to dictate who you are. Grace under pressure doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you choose how to respond. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel hurt and still speak with respect. You can feel anger and still choose silence. That's not suppression. That's evolution. The person who carries grace in pressure communicates something powerful. I control my energy. It doesn't control me. And that is magnetic. That is leadership. That's what separates the ordinary from the exceptional. In relationships, grace under pressure is everything. It's the difference between reaction and influence. When someone tries to provoke you, your calm disarms them. When they expect you to fight, your composure confuses them. When they want chaos, your peace becomes your power. You're no longer reacting to their storm. You're setting the weather. Behaviour. People remember grace more than words. They remember how you handled what could have broken you. They remember how you stood tall when your pride could have begged for attention. They remember how you breathed instead of burned. That image, that energy lasts longer than any speech or apology ever could. Grace is a form of emotional intelligence. It says, I understand what matters, and this moment will not define me. When you operate from that awareness, you stop fighting battles that don't deserve your energy. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing closure from chaos. Grace teaches endurance. It teaches you to see through storms instead of drowning in them. It reminds you that not every reaction deserves your attention, and not every attack deserves a defense. When you act from composure, you preserve your dignity, and dignity is priceless. Behaviour pressure doesn't create grace. It reveals it. It exposes whether your peace is real or just performance. You can't fake calm under fire. You either have it or you don't. And if you don't, life will give you opportunities to build it. Every trial, every heartbreak, every loss is a lesson in restraint, in choosing presence over panic. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to prove your worth through reaction. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing, to stand still, breathe, and let your silence speak for you. That's the essence of grace under pressure, being able to hold your power when everything around you demands you give it away. Because when you stay grounded in chaos, you become the calm others crave. You become the eye of the storm, still, steady, and strong. You stop being controlled by the world and start influencing it. Remember this. Grace isn't about pretending to be unbothered, it's about being unshaken. It's not the absence of emotion, it's the presence of strength. So when life tests you, breathe deeper. When someone disrespects you, respond with calm. When things fall apart, stand taller. Every time you choose composure over chaos, you expand your power. Every time you keep grace under pressure, you evolve. Because in the end, the world doesn't remember who shouted the loudest. It remembers who stayed grounded when everything else collapsed. Grace under pressure isn't just beauty, it's brilliance. It's strength wrapped in stillness. It's proof that real confidence doesn't need control. It is control. And when you master that, no storm, no person, no failure can shake what's within you. You don't just survive the pressure, you become the calm that conquers it. Self-respect is the foundation of power, the invisible force that shapes every connection, every boundary, every decision. It's not arrogance and it's not pride, it's clarity. The clarity to know who you are, what you deserve, and what you will no longer tolerate. When you carry self-respect, you don't need to demand value. Your presence declares it. Behaviour. People treat you according to what you accept. If you let disrespect slide, it becomes the language of your relationships. If you tolerate inconsistency, it becomes the rhythm of your life. Self-respect isn't built in a single decision. It's built in every small choice where you choose peace over approval, standards over desperation, and alignment over attention. Most people destroy their self-respect not because they're weak, but because they confuse love with sacrifice. They believe that to keep someone, they must shrink a little, bend a little, forgive too easily. But every time you betray your boundaries for validation, you trade long-term peace for short-term comfort, and nothing erodes self-respect faster than self-betrayal. Self-respect sets the tone because it communicates what kind of energy you allow into your life. It tells people how far they can go. It teaches others, whether you are someone who demands effort or accepts excuses, and once you lower the bar for someone, they rarely lift it again. Respect yourself means to hold yourself accountable. It's not just about doing better treatment from others, it's about living in a way that earns your own respect. Are you keeping the promises you make to yourself? Are you walking away when your values are being compromised? Are you choosing truth when lies would be easier? That's where real self-respect is built, not in words, but in consistency. There's something magnetic about someone who carries quiet self-assurance. They don't beg to be seen, they choose to be selective. They don't fight for space, their energy makes space. When you respect yourself, your silence has weight. You don't need to over-explain why you're leaving, why you're setting boundaries, or why you won't settle. Your actions speak and people listen. Self-respect changes how you love. It transforms love from dependence into choice. You no longer chase connection out of fear of being alone. You choose it from a place of fullness. You stop trying to convince people to value you. You start surrounding yourself with those who already do. That shift alone filters out chaos, drama, and emotional exhaustion. When you lack self-respect, everything becomes negotiation. Your worth, your boundaries, your happiness. But when you stand in self-respect, negotiation ends. You stop explaining why you're not okay with disrespect. You stop apologizing for standards that protect your peace. You stop begging for energy that should have been given freely. The person with self-respect doesn't stay where effort is one-sided. They don't chase closure from people who refuse to grow. They don't argue with inconsistency. They don't beg love to stay because they know that love built on begging isn't love, it's control. This strength doesn't come from ego, it comes from discipline. The discipline to walk away even when it hurts. The discipline to say no even when you are empty, to say yes. The discipline to believe that solitude is better than disrespect. That's real power, the kind that doesn't need an audience to be valid. Hebrew self-respect sets the tone because it's contagious. When you carry it, people around you rise or fall to meet your energy. The insecure will feel threatened, the mature will feel inspired. Either way, your presence will force clarity, and clarity always serves you. Respect yourself enough to be misunderstood. Respect yourself enough to be alone for a while. Respect yourself enough to rebuild instead of settling. Every moment you choose your dignity over your desperation, you're teaching the world how to treat you, and yourself how to lead. Understand this. Self-respect is not just about saying, I deserve better. It's about doing better in your words, habits, and choices. You can't demand respect from others if your actions constantly contradict your own standards. You can't ask for loyalty while betraying your own boundaries. So hold your line. Stay consistent. Don't explain to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let your silence separate you from those who don't value your peace. Because self-respect is not about control, it's about freedom. The freedom to walk away from what doesn't align. The freedom to stand tall in truth. The freedom to know that being alone in peace is worth more than being surrounded in chaos. Self-respect sets the tone for love, for work, for life. It's the silent authority that says, I know my worth and I will not discount it for comfort. It's not about ego, it's about equilibrium. The balance between compassion and self-protection. When you live with that level of integrity, people can feel it. They think twice before disrespecting you. They sense that your energy is not something to play with, it's something to honor. And that's the kind of power no one can give you and no one can take away. Because when you build your life on self-respect, you stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. And that sets the tone for everything. Approval feels good, but purpose gives life meaning. Approval is temporary, purpose is eternal. When you live for validation, you become a reflection of other people's opinions. But when you live for purpose, you become a force that shapes your world. The moment you choose purpose over approval, you stop chasing applause and start building legacy. Most people live as prisoners of perception. They shape their choices around what others will think, what's acceptable, what's impressive, what won't offend anyone. But that kind of life is hollow. It's like running endlessly on a treadmill of external praise, moving but never truly arriving. The more you try to please everyone, the further you drift from yourself. Purpose doesn't beg to be liked. It demands to be lived. It's the inner voice that says, "This is who I am," even if they don't understand it. Approval is addictive because it feels safe, but it's a false safety. It's control disguised as acceptance. The moment the crowd changes, your confidence collapses. That's not power, that's dependency dressed as belonging. Choosing purpose over approval means being willing to disappoint people in order to stay true to yourself. It means standing for something even when standing costs you comfort. It means learning to breathe in solitude when silence replaces applause. Because real purpose is rarely loud, it's often lonely. But it's in that loneliness that strength is forged. The person driven by approval constantly adjusts their tone, their choices, their dreams, bending just enough to stay liked. But the person driven by purpose stands firm, even when it's uncomfortable. Purpose doesn't ask who will agree with me, it asks what is right, what aligns with my truth. Queer approval is borrowed confidence. Purpose is self-generated conviction. When you're chasing approval, your worth depends on reactions. When you live from purpose, your worth is non-negotiable. You move from needing permission to giving direction. Way. In relationships, purpose over approval changes everything. When you live for approval, you tolerate disrespect, silence your boundaries, and shapeshift just to keep peace. But when you live with purpose, you bring peace, because you no longer need anyone's permission to exist as your full self. You stop attracting people who like your compliance and start drawing those who respect your conviction. Purpose gives you backbone. It gives your no power and your yes meaning. You stop apologizing for your ambition, your passion, your vision. You stop shrinking to be digestible. You start realizing that not everyone is meant to understand you, and that's okay. Greatness was never born from consensus. The more you grow in purpose, the less approval matters. You'll notice that the noise fades, the criticism doesn't sting the same, the praise doesn't inflate your ego anymore. You start to crave authenticity over attention. You'd rather be real and misunderstood than fake and applauded. That's when you know you're free. Purpose anchors you when the world shifts. It keeps you steady when opinions turn against you. It gives you something bigger than comfort to fight for. Approval asks you to please people, purpose asks you to serve truth, and truth will cost you, but it will also elevate you. When you choose purpose, rejection becomes redirection. Every no becomes fuel. Every misunderstanding becomes clarity. Every loss becomes pruning for growth. You stop asking, why don't they see my value? And start saying, they weren't meant to understand my mission. Approval is about being liked in the moment. Purpose is about being remembered for impact. You can't have both. You can either fit in or stand out, but you can't do both at once. Those who changed the world didn't seek permission, they sought truth. They didn't chase applause, they chased alignment. So ask yourself, are you living to be liked, or are you living to be real? Because you can't be both when the world rewards conformity more than authenticity. Purpose will ask you to walk alone sometimes, to be misunderstood, to be doubted, but that's the price of freedom. And once you taste that freedom, you'll never crave approval again. You'll realize that the peace that comes from living in integrity is far more satisfying than the comfort that comes from being accepted. Brookie purpose doesn't whisper, it calls. It calls you to step out of mediocrity, to stop seeking validation from people who don't live your truth, to rise above opinions that were never meant to define you. It calls you to remember that your life is not a performance. It's a mission. Brofre. You don't need everyone to approve of your path. You just need to walk it with conviction, because in the end, applause fades, followers disappear, and trends die, but purpose remains, purpose over approval. That's how leaders are made. That's how peace is kept. That's how fulfillment is found. So let the world talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them call your confidence arrogance, your clarity coldness, your boundaries pride. Because one day they'll see that what they called stubbornness was actually strength. Brochi, stop living to be liked.